You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Show. On your Friday, it is your fun and frolic show with myself, Kerry Greenaway. And tonight I'm joined in the studio by the lovely Mark Manley, as always. Good evening, Mark. Oh, sorry, say that again.
Good evening, viewers.
I forgot the mute button.
Wow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty much how the show is going to go. We've got the masterful Jay Lynch, my brother from another mother in, from across the pond, and then we've got Kerry, who, well, quite frankly, Kerry's up the building. Shell's here, her brain in the fridge. So just bear with us on that one
tonight. Yeah, so it could be quite a funny show with my stupidity. So Jay is with us. Good evening, Jay.
Good evening. How are you guys?
So it could be a mad one tonight, guys. Then, yeah.
I promise to be as I can to my abilities, which is terrible.
No, don't. Mr. Lynch, I have got something to show you. You know your Bigfoot friend?
Bodine.
Look!
Yeah.
I'm wearing Bodine's youngest children on my feet.
I love it.
Bodine is basically a dress-up Bigfoot that Jay takes with him on various locations. And it's an onward struggle, I think. What are you trying to attempt with that? I mean, he's funny.
Just he's absolutely just fun. He's fun to have around. He really interacts with the people. He's got a great personality, even though he's a Bigfoot. But if you went to our webpage, you would see the story there about him. He's the smallest Bigfoot. He got outcast, kind of like Rudolph. He's different, so they kicked him out of the community. So he's living between people and the Bigfoot and just trying to fit in wherever he can and have fun.
See, that's what it is. He's Littlefoot. You smelly git. Get out of this room now. I'm terribly sorry. We have got mustard gas being let off in this room here. Go, now. Go.
Lovely. Oh. So does Bodine have this issue with toxic waste?
Bodine blows off all the time.
Bodine wouldn't do that. He's out in the woods right now. He's got a lot of things coming up. He's quite active, believe it or not. He's got a lot of requests for him to be places.
Yeah, he's got a following.
And it's getting.
Is he on?
Is he what?
On Twitter.
No, he hasn't got his own page or anything yet. You can find him on our website, paranormalmysterieshome.com. You can find him and a story about him, and a lot of pictures are coming out, more and more coming out about him. We haven't decided if we're going to give him his own Facebook or Instagram page. How many of us do Twitter? I think it's too educated for all of us.
There is a Bigfoot that is on Twitter, and he can only just about type on the buttons with his stubby big fingers. So I don't reckon Bodine will have any problems because he's slightly smaller. So it should be Bodine the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I reckon that'd be quite amazing.
You got a Sax Squatch. Have you guys seen him yet?
You got a what?
Who's that? Well, what?
Sax Squatch. It's playing the saxophone. Sax.
Oh my God.
Oh my word! It gets worse, everybody.
It doesn't get worse.
Basically, every time that Bodine's cousin comes on, you can hear the a massive sax intro coming in from the Lost Boys. Yeah, every time you see him, he's just like, yeah.
Okay, anyway, just to give a shout out to our lovely Carl Hutchinson, he is not with us tonight because obviously he's at Sage Paracon this year, and it seems like they're having lots of fun. Medieval banquet going on right now with our lovely Carl and Sam. What are our bettings on what you dressed as?
Well, I think he's dressed as Henry VIII, and I think Sam's dressed as a buxom wench. He's got an idea.
Jay?
Or as a Viking leader. He's like, yes!
Viking
food.
leader with his Thor hammer. Yeah,
that's not his Thor hammer.
Suppose, isn't it? Anyway, my beautiful men, let's get on with tonight's show. We have done 6 minutes of preamble, which is a little bit too much, I would say. Now, we are looking mainly at Disclosed TV tonight. Some articles that came up on there. Now, NASA's headline, sensationalism, woohoo! NASA scientist says dinosaurs lived on the other side of the galaxy. When you read that article, she's got a goddamn point, right?
She has definitely got a point. And if I can find it, there it is, because I read it earlier and I've completely forgotten of it. But no, she's right. The way human life evolved on Earth, why couldn't that have happened elsewhere? And they did that experiment, didn't they? He says, using the technical terms, they did that experiment. I'm just trying to find... You carry on talking amongst yourselves. Ignore me. You carry on chatting. I'll be back to you in a minute. I'll just find this. Right.
The point of it was that because the universe is in constant motion, where the world would have been the other side of the universe when the dinosaurs were around. So physically, she's picked it. She's worked back in regards to movement of the planets in the solar system. Because although Earth's in a fixed orbit, the solar system bit that we're in isn't, that constantly moves through whatever it is it moves through, right?
Yeah.
Oh dear. So
I know what's happened to you tonight. I know what's happened to you tonight. I know what's wrong with you tonight, Kerry.
What?
AIDS! That's it.
Oh, of course, that's exactly what it was.
Yes.
Helping my headache.
You thought I was going to say something else then.
Helping the headache loads is all I'm going to say, screaming at me down the microphone.
I'm sorry. AIDS! Right, okay.
Oh, God. So, anyway, Jay, what's your take on this with the movement of the solar system? You know, are we looking at life in that way, that the dinosaurs would have been on the other side of the solar system when they were around?
I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. So they're not saying that when I first started reading it, I'm like, okay, we mean they was on the other side of the solar system, that they were on another planet and how they get here. But I'm like, okay, wait a minute, slow down. So the Earth was on the other side of the solar system when the dinosaurs existed. Is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah, because the actual solar system that we're in moves through space-time dimension. I don't know about that bit, but it moves through space and time, doesn't it? It has its own orbit around, isn't it, the Milky Way we're part of, our little solar system?
I prefer Mars bar.
It rotates around the solar system same way that the planets rotate around the sun. The sun, it all rotates. So everything's spinning and spiraling. Oh, my God.
In my head, when I was reading this article, I kind of saw a billiard table with all these, all these balls moving around at once. And I was thinking...
Stop talking about balls.
You can't get your head around it, can you? Going pure Essex on that
one. There you go. She can't get her head around balls. I knew the show was going to go that way. But
you can't get your head around the immensity of it. Or is it as immense, or is that just a perception of size? We could be like incy-wincy bacterial kind of sizes. Do you know what I mean?
And
have you been watching War of the World again?
No.
Because that's a big, isn't it, when he says that? No, who would have thought of small bacteria?
Well, yeah. Jay?
That's the bad thing about the solar system. We really don't have any conceptual idea of how large it is. Size is something that we're so limited to by where we're at and on the planet that we're on, that we can't really fathom what it would be like to be inside of a solar system or a galaxy, because it's just far beyond our understanding. So to sit there and try to perceive that the dinosaurs were on the Earth at the same time we was on the opposite side of the galaxy. That's a whole time thing adding into it. It's like immense size that can't really fathom.
Mm.
Also, when you read into it as well, it's also saying that because when you go into the comments and click on other links and that, it's also saying why couldn't things evolve on other planets, on other galaxies, sort of similar to dinosaurs? And it's true. Why wouldn't there be dinosaurs on other places?
Not just dinosaurs. Humanoids.
They'd be different.
Could be anything
yeah.
that's evolved the same as us. No one, I don't think anybody in this room is sitting here saying that we don't believe that there's life on other planets. My issue has always been the travelling bit. Do you know what I mean? So if it's all well and good, I believe that there could possibly be life on other planets in the entire universe, but the technology to get here, I don't believe that bit.
Also, what about the onion theory or the paradox theory, the parallel dimensions and everything, where somewhere there's a female opposite of Jay and myself and the male opposite of you, and they're doing a radio show right now saying exactly what I'm saying? Oh,
well,
God, can you imagine the female opposite of me and Jay?
And I'd be the poor man trying to referee that.
Oh.
But it does go, and then you think about dimensions. Like we only see it in a kind of like 2D way, don't we? We see it as planets linked to other planets that link to a sun that revolve around the universe, and it's all very conceptual. Well, I say conceptual. It's all very. That's the mechanics of it. That's the physics of it. But we only know that 2D way. We don't know if there's other dimensions within that, other vibrations and frequencies that overlay onto that 2D world that we know. So, I mean, it just leads me to... This is one of these ones that leads my brain down into so many rabbit holes that I don't understand, that my brain explodes.
May I suggest a book for you that would explain all about parallel dimensions and this, that, and the other? It's The Long War, The Long Earth and The Long War, and I can't remember what the other one is, but it's Terry Pratchett and somebody else. It talks about that's invented, and you can do this box, and you can slide to the left or to the right. You can't go forwards or backwards, but you can slide to the left or the right, and it's infinite dimensions. And the various versions of Earth that you go to in the various versions of our universe, it's all slightly different. Like some places have got water, some places are desert, some have still got dinosaurs, some have got a herd of mother-in-laws running around. You know, it's really interesting.
I actually quite like Terry Pratchett. Have you read Terry Pratchett, Jay?
No.
I've got all his books.
No, mate. There are some
You need
concepts.
to. You
do.
need
You
to.
do.
You've got a sense of humour.
You know, when you talk about like bringing, so it's a bit like what the Harry Potter did. It sort of made things that witches and stuff do now, but brought forward a lot of mythology and folklore in a really funny or accessible way in regards to Harry Potter. But in regards to like Terry Pratchett, he does it in a very humorous way. He is absolutely hysterical, and I like him as an author. And he does like flat Earth theory when he was talking about where they got to the edge of the rim of the world. It is funny as anything, mate. There's trolls that live on the rim of the world collecting all the trash that falls off and then sells it back to the Discworld to recycle it. It's honestly, it's well worth a read to try like look at some concepts in a very funny way.
Witches Abroad. Try that one first, because that Witches Abroad and Masquerade, they have me in stitches because there's some very risque humour in it.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to universal concepts, we've gone on to Terry Pratchett's whole different world.
Excuse me, young lady. Mr. J. Lynch was trying to talk then.
Oh,
sure.
sorry.
Right, what was that, Joe?
You have to send me the author and the name and stuff so I can look it up, because I will not remember. And if it has some humor to it, then I might be more apt to read it, because I've gotten so bad about reading anymore. I'm terrible. I've got books.
Hilarious. They're hilarious.
But they are classed as fantasy fiction. I would say this: they are classed as fantasy fiction, but they are funny and look at concepts that we talk about in a more serious way on the radio, like how witches work and stuff like that. You know, a lot it addresses. Anyway, it's very funny and pulls together themes that you wouldn't expect. It's very good. So anyway, moving on back to the universe and everything. So these concepts are kind of mind-blowing when we look at it more closer to home. If those forces are at force out there, they've got to be something that is accessible on the planet. Where are we thinking on
We
that one?
covered that before. We have talked about doorways and gateways and when the veils are thin. Even scientists have said that parallel dimensions they think are real, and they exist so close to us, they're like less than a hair's width away. But because it's different vibrations and this, and this, and the only other vibrations I know are in the Ann Summers shop, but because these are so different to ours, you can't touch it yet because we haven't invented the machine that enables us to open that doorway.
Jay?
But who's to say they haven't? And that's why the fairy rings are about.
Now, there was a book I read once. And believe it, I did read a book once, Carrie. I know it's contrary to popular belief. Imagica by Clive Barker. Have you ever read that?
No.
I've heard of it.
Okay, he talks about how there's different dimensions of the universe, and Earth. There's like 7 dimensions of the universe, and Earth is one of the 7. But Earth is disconnected from the others. And once you connect it, you can actually pass. You have spots all around the world that you can pass from one dimension into one universe to the next. You can actually travel amongst them. It's a phenomenal book. It really is. Yes, Carrie, I believe it or not, I read a book.
But this bears me into mind of like when we went back and we was talking about the Tuatha I'll try that
Tuatha
again.
Danann.
Thank you very much. You got a little bit stuck on the
I hate
you want
saying
about
that
my ancestors.
Sorry.
Mine too, but I get stuck on that word sometimes like, do it. Forget it.
Tuatha Danann. My ancestors.
Where there
Mine
was
too.
a war and then we closed off a dimension.
Yeah.
We shut off the fairy world into a different dimension.
That's actually mentioned in a lot of different places all around the world. That war and that the Fae people were shut off because they were actually turned out to be nasty. That's mentioned in lots of different things.
The opposite way that we turned out to be nasty. We're the ones destroying the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can believe that.
Corrupting the planet.
Yeah, I can definitely believe that. I mean, look at the way things are now with all the pollution and the what do you call them, the snowflakes and stuff. You know, it's just got daft these days.
It had.
You can't do anything. Well, people get offended over nothing, you know, and all the pollution and.
They do, but they've got a right to. At least we've got people working for the good of the planet, not just the corporations trying to bring the planet down and rinse it. So at least there is a forward motion on that now. People are a lot more aware of things, so we have got to protect our dimension. Getting it back on topic. Did you like how I did that there?
That's what I was on topic. That's where I was going to say that Mark made the comment about Carrie one made the comment that we haven't developed a machine yet to be able to connect the dimensions. What if it's not a machine? What if it's just as simple as us getting ourselves back right with our own planet and our own level of our own existence? Yeah. What if it's within us and we're denying it? What if it's within us and within our planet and we're not experiencing it because we are so destructive? We have taken ourselves so far away from being earthly and bound to our earth. We're all about the tech and all this other stuff. This has taken us away from us.
We have forgotten a lot.
We have pulled ourselves out of our dimension because of this drive for so-called knowledge and tech that it's just pulled us out of it. What if that's just that simple?
Which it could be, because how often do we sit there and we talk about universal energy and channeling the right energy and changing your vibration, energy and frequency into what you want to manifest what you want, and if you work with it, then you do get what you want. So maybe Jay is right. Maybe it's actually about it needs to come from us individually to reconnect with the planet Earth rather than disconnecting and taking what we want. Maybe that is what's needed, is a worldwide drive for people to reconnect with their landscape rather than destroying it.
Exactly. What if it's that simple?
How amazing would it be? But you wouldn't get that, would you? Nobody is going to...
I was going to say, there's also the thing...
Oh, Mark's gone.
I'm here.
Oh,
can you see me?
Now
I'm here. Yeah. I was going to say there is also the thing that they reckon that because we've forgotten so much over the years, we've forgotten our roots and what technology we had that didn't have this technology, if you see what I mean. And there's also the thing that all the ley lines and everything are all to do with the grid of the free energy. Once everything's healed and we've gone back to being the good guys instead of the idiots that are mucking the planet up, we might get these portals and stuff back up and running.
I think that's a possibility. Like I said, there's so many. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love quantum theory, quantum mechanics, and all this portals and all this big thinking. But our lives started out so simple, and we have gotten to be more educated and less connected. That if we're taking ourselves. What if we're taking ourselves in the wrong direction? We need to be more connected. You can have both. You truly can. You can have all of it, but you have to apply yourself properly. You don't have to choose whether you want to be tech connected. You can do both, but it takes a balance. It takes somebody to focus on that energy and to focus on that direction and not to just sell out to one or the other.
See, the thing is, when you look at ancient alien theory, a lot of that technology they reckon they had in regards to providing power. You know, they reckon that the pyramids were a power source, a form of power source. More power than would take to light the alleged light bulbs that they found, or light bulb. I think it was one example that they found, or something like that. That they can't explain why they knew that. Am I being stupid? Because I saw that on a program.
I think there's a lot more meets the eye to a lot of these pyramids and hidden temples and this, that, and the other. When you look into all the scripts and the scrolls and this, that, and the other, and the things that they describe in them, like the chairs levitating, and when you saw like the leaders and the heads and stuff, the chairs would go up and down and side to side. I think there's a trick to it, but I also think that they had a power source back then that we've just forgotten about. We don't know how to do it. We don't know how to tap it, purely because all the knowledge is lost and the books and things are lost. But I don't see why there wasn't precursors to us. I mean, a lot of people think there were. I mean, there was races of giants. That's been mentioned in all sorts of different places again. So why can't there have been different forms of energy and stuff? I don't see why not. And just to do... I've put the link in the chat room so people can have a look at the post about the dinosaurs.
I'd already done that, sweetie, but thank you. Now...
Oh, you're welcome.
You brought up one facet there that was interesting. You said you've seen the people that can do the moving of the tables and the chairs. We have seen examples of that in regards to like the Phillips experiment. A set amount of people focused on a specific intention, creating phenomena. Yeah. Was it phenomena in the way they expected? Or was that just how it happened? I don't know. But does that not show then, and the Skulls experiment, that a certain energy of people, just a small group of people, can create something? So how amazing could it be if we were like all joint-minded in a specific intention at a specific time? What power could that create from the human factor that we've forgotten?
And would the ley lines help with that as well? Would you be able to project it into the ley lines so it goes all around the world? I don't know.
Which
maybe
then
that's what
powers up
Tesla was trying to
stars,
do.
which actually saves their planet. I mean, guys, we've saved the planet, guys.
Yeah, of course we have.
It's just getting everybody. It's just getting everybody to do it, though, isn't it? That's the problem. Without thinking, or someone going, "Oh, hang on a minute, you're being batshit crazy."
Yeah, but you were talking about
what is batshit? Yeah,
you were talking about.
I was going to say, there's batshit crazy, but
you're both talking at the same time, one at a time.
Go, Mark. Go, Mark.
No, I'm sorry. I was just getting a little bit hard listening to her being stern. No, I was going to say is if we can stop the how can I put this in a politically correct way? If we can stop the people who are the oil barons and this, that, and the other who are mucking the planet up, all for the sake of the almighty dollar, and we got rid of certain corrupt politicians that agree with it, then we might be able to do something about it.
But it's our planet, and you're talking about a small, minute amount of people that we're giving all this power and control to. It's not theirs, it's ours. We're allowing them to have this control of us because we desire what they're giving us. We desire the petroleum to power our cars and all these other things. They've got us believing that we need these necessities, that we have to have these things, and we're buying it. We're purchasing it. We're working so we can get these things. So if we stop doing that and we stop using them, what they got? They got a bunch of black, muddy water that's of no value now. But we desire it.
Well,
so it's...
Well, the patent for the engine that runs on water, the government took it away and hushed it up and said, nope. And it's been proved it was done and invented, and they went nope and hushed it up and made the guy buy a pauper. So yeah.
But there have been cases as well throughout, like various media stories, which I've got a bit of bugbear for, moment, but media stories in general do highlight these things. I mean, if they can find somebody who's supposed to have invented a car that runs off of water and then just all the technology, everything disappears, do you think then that we are just never going to do it because we can't come together as a planet of people and evolve ourselves quickly enough, bearing in mind it's got to be done quickly, because within 30 years my little island's going to be underwater according to some records that were out today. You know, I'm going to have to move to Pitsea.
Oh, dear God, woman! You'll get an accent.
Oh, my God. Anyway,
talk like
over that moment, to keep out of the water, do you know what I mean? I'd be paddling, otherwise swimming, going, hi. Most of Kent is going to be underwater. There's going to be a lot of the UK underwater within 30 years, was it? 2050.
Yeah.
30 years. Yeah. So we've got to do something damn quick. If we're going to do it, we've got to do it quickly.
Now why is the UK going to be underneath water? So much of the UK going to be underneath water in 30 years. What's going to happen? I haven't seen this article. So what's going to happen is going to
it's the ice caps melting.
Oh, the ice caps melting. Oh, okay.
Raises sea level, loads of death and destruction.
On the whole global warming thing again. Which has been proven, but disproven, but proven, but disproven, but proven, but disproven.
True, but I'd rather believe that it was a proven thing so we can do something about it than continue the way the human race is going.
They've also proven, though, that, and history shows it, we've had ice ages, not just one, but two, that Earth takes its own cycles, what it's going to do. There's nothing we can do. We're at mercy of it. If the Earth decides it wants to have another polar ice age, then it's going to have another polar ice age. We can't stop that.
Just put your big coat on. You're right.
So, to me, some things can't be done, but sometimes it's also nothing more than propaganda to manipulate people.
There's a lot of stuff going about false flags, isn't there? There's a lot of stuff recently coming up on the web about governments who are going to be doing these false flag events to see how the nation will take certain things and see how they react. And that's going to be a precursor to whatever they're really going to do. But it's just testing the water, isn't it?
The problem is, I think, with things like that, is that I think we all kind of know how people were going to react. I don't actually think we're more... So you and Carl generally have a different opinion to me on this. You think that we are more ready to accept that kind of thing. I don't. I think the human race is nowhere near ready to accept that. We can't even accept we're killing our own planet, let alone like there are people from other planets that are a possible threat, which is basically what's been fed through entertainment media.
But
I think...
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I was just about to say, I think the majority of us are ready for it, but I do think you're going to have certain sections of civilization that will close their ears off and won't be ready for it. But I think the majority of us are.
I think the majority are, but I think the reason why we have so many people think this going to be a hostile takeover, not just because of entertainment things, but I think it's also fed by a lot of the governments, because if they are truly more intelligent, obviously, because we're able to travel here and all these other things, and to have us progress in such a quick manner to actually be able to progress us as a species and possibly even save our own planet with their technology and things, then the people in charge now lose control. Who are you going to follow? Somebody has been running their mouth all this time and wasting things and destroying the planet, making false promises, or somebody or something that comes from another planet and immediately starts helping and curing things. They will lose control. It's all about control and power. It truly is.
Exactly.
It's a simple thing. The people that look up the entire history, there's always been one or two people, whether it be a king, a queen, a dictator, a president. There's always a small group of people that control the masses. And they control them a lot by fear and so many other things that they monetary wise. There's always a control mechanism. And if they
the Illuminati,
we have some. And there's always a conspiracy, always.
Yeah.
So they keep that fear going, and they keep us controlled by our fear. They get people to believe the news over here. The news has become atrocious, in my opinion. Used to we have news people that had integrity. They just told the story. They didn't give you their opinion.
Yes.
They told this. Now you have them that they tell from their perspective, and you don't know who to believe anymore. So they've gotten and people are afraid to leave their little houses and communities because that town over there has got all this killing going on. 90% of it's false and lies.
I agree.
People need to start.
Well,
People need to start listening to a little voice in their head that says, "Oh, hang on a minute," and start believing themselves for a change.
Well, I've actually written a blog recently on parasearch.org regarding sensationalism and how we can be aware of that in regards to the paranormal. So if you're interested in reading that blog, pop over to parasearchradio.org. And there's been a couple of blogs gone up over the last week, absolutely brilliant ones. So go and have a little moochie. So that's kind of where we're at with it, isn't it? It's fact filled with a lot of misinformation, filled with false flags, filled with myths and, what we used to call as a whispering ear, like where someone says something and then it all gets changed along the line, and sound bites get taken out of context. When you go back to the original speech that someone did, the sound bite that's been taken out and changed in context, we're seeing that an awful lot at the moment. It's a very difficult world to try and make sense of at times.
Can I give you a little bit of knowledge just about because there's a couple of people that invented the engine that runs on water. One's back in the 1930s. I can't remember his name, but the latest one was Stanley Meyer. Stanley Meyer, and he invented one that worked on basically a water fuel cell. And when he was at a meeting in a restaurant with two Belgian inventors, he went outside because he wasn't feeling well, and then all of a sudden he came running back in saying, "They've poisoned me, they've poisoned me, they've poisoned me," and he dropped down dead of a heart attack.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm. Another one hushed up.
Absolutely. It's been going on for a long time, because if they could take away the oil for something as simple as water, they lose their control, they lose their power.
Look at Tesla with his global energy network.
When he died, I think it was the FBI or the CIA, someone like that,
That's
went in and stripped his apartment, didn't they, before anybody else was allowed in there.
And took all his papers and any patents that he had pending.
There's a show on one of the streaming networks I think it's on one of the major networks, where they've been doing some of the Tesla things, and there was a scientist that did that gridding with the electric, and it worked. He had a small boat in the water that actually got the current from the ground. It's been proven that it would have worked. Yeah. But they said it's all about the control. Who had more money and had the control? Who got to who first? To be able to say, "Oh, look, if we stop this and if he gives away for free, we can't charge for it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's free energy that you could make up in your back garden, do you know what I mean? Then it does. It takes a lot of things out of money that's generated for these big corporations and our governments. It does take a hell of a lot of money away.
Our governments are so, at least over here, there was a big push 4 or 5 years ago for wind energy. And there was actually a sitting congressman who said that if they put in all these windmills, it would slow the rotation of the earth down and we would all die.
Really? And people are stupid enough to believe that?
But they are. People are. It's proven, isn't it? We sit here and we mock the flat earth theorists, because they believe the earth is flat. I don't understand that I can't get my head around why somebody would believe that. But that's no different from one religion saying you're wrong because you believe in this version of the story and this version of the story.
Well, it's like creationists as well, isn't it? They think that the Earth's only a few thousand years old, apart from the fact it's glaringly obvious it's not, but, hey.
There's a lot of people believe lots of different things. So that's why I don't think the human race is ready for anything like full disclosure or a red flag event going on. I just don't think you're going to find that the public are as embracing of it as you think. I think the people that aren't involved in it would be. They're going to sit back in their comfortable little armchairs watching it all unfold on the internet and sit there and go, cool, I want to go. But the ones that are actually in that moment of that situation, they're going to freak out completely. You would if one appeared over your house.
You're going to have that no matter what.
I was going to say, I think Jay will agree with me on this. The main people who aren't going to believe it and this, that, and the other is people that religion has a heck of a lot to answer for. That's all I'll say.
I'm not a religious person.
Because most normal people, I'm not, but I'm ready for it, and I think a lot of people are, but I think when you take certain sections of the community, it's that section that's not ready for it.
That's a big section.
Yeah, but
like that's a lot of people in the world have actually got a very deep religious belief system in place, even if they don't recognise it in their adult life, because that's a belief system that would have been set in when they were a child. So it's a deep set belief system. And regardless of that, everybody, well, a lot of people, even if they're not a practicing religious person, will want to get married in a church or buried by clergy, or do you know what I mean? Which shows a belief system in place there.
The Japanese have religious ceremonies for robots, for God's sake. So if they can have that, I'm sure somebody coming along in a flying saucer will say, do you know we used to live here a few thousand years ago, and because of our technology, you thought we were God? Technically, you're right, but it was just this little button here that made the light show. We had a show about this, and we solved all that. It was aliens lived here thousands of years ago. It's all in all the different scripts in the Mahabharata about the big fight they had in the air with the UFOs and everything, and angels and demons. They were just different aliens having a scrap, having a punch up. We lived in mud huts. We used to poop in our hands and clap, so we had no clue what elastic trickery and laser beams and everything was. So back then, laser, we thought they were gods, but to be fair, they are still gods, they are still supreme beings, but we've got a lot more knowledge now and we can understand it a lot better now, so I do think we might be ready for some of it.
But if it's a false flaggy kind of event, it's not going to be just like one little spaceship coming out. It's going to be, I don't know what it will be, to be fair. It could even not actually happen. It could just be conspiracy theorists making stuff up again. Another sensationalisation of something that's not actually going to happen, and the government bods are sitting there crying with laughter over what all this sub-community of ufologists and believers, are making up this time.
What do you think, Jay?
I think there's something going to happen. I don't know what. I tend to not go. It's arrogant to think that there's nothing else out there in all these mass universe and galaxies and everything else. It's absolutely arrogant to think that we're the only semi-intelligent creature out there. Come on, seriously. But I think
look at some of our governments.
It's the travelling bit. It's the travelling bit, guys.
They're not going to, and I don't think anything's going to happen in my lifetime. I truly don't. I just don't. I would not progress to the level that I think that. If I lived here before and we left here because we were living in mud huts, and you go flying by now, what's concrete? It's just sand and rock mixed with water. We're still living in giant mud huts. We just call them more technical things now.
I live in a house made out of Lego, so I don't know what you're living in.
Well, see, but you got Legos, you got wood. I mean, we're still compared to that right there, we're still working in a very primitive way.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like that meme on Facebook that was, you think that aliens now fly by and still lock the doors, they're going by Earth, like, oh, don't go there, they're still primitive. We are.
You know what that reminds me of? What was that film? The Griswolds when they go on holiday. They go into that area and there's... That's right, the Griswolds, Clark Griswold and that lot. When they go on holiday and they go into that area, it's really rough, and they just see somebody get shot and they go, wind them up! And all the windows get wound up and they doors and drive off.
Pull up the windows and lock the doors.
Well, okay, so are we then, as a race, we talk about working on a lower level vibration and a higher level. So when lower level vibrations are like ego, jealousy, they're selfish, they're all those sort of like lower level emotional states that we're in, very negative, and then you get into the higher emotional state where you are embracing and you're flowing and you're accepting and you're loving and you're kind, and those kind of vibrations. As the human race then as a whole, not individually, because we can't pinpoint any specific race or anything, but as a whole, are we working then as a lower evolved species? Not that far from flight or fight, that we think we are far evolved from that, but are we actually not that far evolved from that?
We're not. And we're not that low down either. It's a balance. That's the thing about this planet. It doesn't matter when you're talking about all these higher vibrations. You can't have higher vibrations without the lower ones. It's all part of the cycle of how this planet's designed. You have to have the good with the bad. You have to have daylight with dark. There's a balance to everything. So as
Are
a species,
we in balance then?
we will always have these things. We might not like them about ourselves. We might not accept them. We might not, and we might point out this person's done this is bad because they've had a negative reaction to something, but they're still having a reaction. That's part of who we are as a species, and we will always have these things. We'll never be the utopian society that they think we're going to be.
Oh, God.
They show some of these space age movies like Star Trek, and it's not going to happen.
If the Vulcans landed here, we would all just look at them and go, bowl cut! You would. You just look at the hairdo and go, bowl cut! That'd be it.
Yep.
And that would be speciesism, I think you'll find there, Mark.
We're never going to get away from that because we have that to defend ourselves. That's who we are. That's how we protect ourselves. It's our DNA.
Cut your ears to count.
Exactly. It will not change with us, and with us not having something to interject into our DNA.
Do you think then that if aliens came, we've talked about them coming before and changing our DNA into how we've evolved from now? Do you think that would be something that they're now looking to do to evolve us to the next level? Is this why there are abductions and stuff to see if our physiology would be able to cope with, say, another upgrade? Everybody.
If that is the case, I wish they would quit picking the dumb ones.
But maybe that's why they need to pick the lower level evolved people.
Come into the city and pick, or closer to town, and pick somebody that's not living out there off and saying Aunt, Mom, Uncle, Dad. Just quit.
A real bright light appeared, and they shoved this umbrella up my hoo-ha.
But if they were right, so if you were going to upgrade a whole, you want to go for this is so bad. You want to go for like the least evolved of the species, the most innocent of the species in a way, because they're not living in a big city that's complicated by anything else. They are doing their thing. I'm trying to be nice.
I'm flabbergasted by this. You're trying to be nice. Why would you?
You're trying to say that I think he's going to be dealt with first.
Because because that is your lowest point of evolution. So rather than going for super intelligent, you haven't got that many of them. If you're going to evolve a species, you need to do it from like the. I can't put this in a nicer way, but not every abductee is the stereotypical outback Alabama. Let's be honest. I mean, we're talking on a concept that's very stereotypical, but it's not. When you look at abductees, there are some people that are very intelligent that have been abducted and are really reluctant to talk about it because it makes them seem batshit crazy.
But what if they're taking some very intelligent ones and some that are not so intelligent from like the Alpaca Mountains and seeing which ones they want, which ones are going to make the cuts and which ones aren't going to make the cut?
But then they've got the range of intelligence levels. You've got a range. And if they've done this across the globe, if they've gone around to every culture on the earth, so they've gone to Europe and they've gone to America and they've gone to Australia and they've gone to all the places, they've then got a good basic outline of what the human race is and our levels of evolution within a species, and then they could upgrade accordingly.
Right. And some of them may make some of them may not make the grade, which means now it's called population control.
So we're then saying that...
According to Kerry.
So are you saying that they're going to be starting to look at genocide? I'm getting very scared now of an alien invasion.
Maybe it isn't. I'm just saying there's that possibility that, or maybe that they say, okay, well look, we're on a scale from, we want to be on a scale from somewhere between 80 to 90, but we're on a scale between 50 and 60, so they're not ready yet.
So on a scale of potato, we're sort of an onion.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know, but there's all kinds of theories about it. But what if you're right, and they're just looking to see when we're ready for that next upgrade? That's why they abduct people. They abduct people from different places around and say, okay, as a collective, have they progressed? Because you don't just take one spot, because you don't really get a feel for the entire population. You only get that minute little bit. So are they taking around the world?
They need to go to Canvey Island They need to go over to Canvey Island and test out the population there.
Mate,
So-
honestly, I'll tell you something,
Like a
right?
mountain.
I can be really clever at times, and I can be also incredibly stupid. It's a leap year this year. Next year is a leap year, right?
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going,
Yeah.
okay, we'll know if it's a leap year because there'll be an extra day at the end of the year. And I'm saying this dead seriously, not even thinking about what I'm saying. So if they'd picked me that day, they would have got stupid, Kerry. And picked me another day. I could be really clever.
Right. So what you're trying to say is they go around the world and they pick the Forrest Gumps of each nation to test.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it could just depend on the day as to whether you get somebody who's clever or somebody who's not. On that example, if they had abducted me on that day, I would have failed just about being a member of the human species. I think
it's like Jay said, if you abduct somebody incredibly intelligent, somebody who is well known, well respected, they're going to believe him. But if you somebody who's say a potato, they're not going to believe him.
No, but like I say, maybe they are needing a complete cross-section of the human race as a whole, and that is everybody in the human race. That's also all levels of people, all walks of life, all kinds of food and culture to get the physiology right for the upgrade. That's a credible piece of this. If it is looking at upgrading, isn't that an incredible? Won't that be an incredible piece of engineering if it is able to change the DNA of every single human being on this planet to upgrade? If you think about that concept, which is the basis, that's the basis of ancient alien theory, going back in the days, that they took us on, changed our DNA, made us a slave race. Think of the DNA processing that would have had to have gone on to affect every human involved in that. Even if you're down to 50,000 people, that's still an incredible feat of engineering.
That's that bit in the evolution of our evolution where it goes bang, we're suddenly intelligent, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
Again, by our standards, you're grading how much of a large piece of technology this would be, and to upgrade everybody by our standards and our understanding. It might not be a thing to them. No different than us giving hormones to the animals so they grow bigger food. It might be that simple to them. You're limiting it, just like trying to understand the expanse of the galaxy, and the dinosaurs were here on the opposite side of the galaxy. We're looking at something that's so large that we cannot fathom the actual size of it. So you're comparing what we don't know and don't understand to what we do understand, and it is astronomical for us to think about. There's no way we could actually grasp the whole process of it. It may be something simple to them.
Who's to say they can't? Exactly. Who's to say they haven't got the technology, and to them it's not a big deal. It's just bang, done. But to us, it's like
they just leave a chemtrail across the sky, and we all breathe it in, and we're smarter now.
Maybe. Or maybe it is down to the red pill or the blue pill. Take your pick.
Right. Exactly.
Well, you know what happens if you take the blue pill? Because I've heard that they're going to change the chemtrails over to Viagra one day, and that just basically you're going to know when those chemtrails are popped, I tell you. There'll be a lot of happy people. Might be a few nervous sheep and cats and dogs and stuff, but there'll be a few happy people.
Whatever way it is, I think that you have to be very discerning with a lot of the information that's being read out there, that's being put out there, particularly in this day and age with the internet. It's like you can find all sorts of things that none of it backed up, none of it verified. Folk stories that are you only have to look at one little folk story and see the evolution of that throughout the internet or various posts that are put out there. It's sensationalism. We live in a sensationalism culture at its best.
Oh yeah. And as a species, we thrive on stories and tittle-tat and this, that, and the other. But you've got to remember that back when we were mud puppies, there was nothing written down or anything, and everything was always spoken, and you listened to your elders because their word was gospel, and their stories were real, and you passed it down from generation to generation. That's why we thrive on stories. So
but then we get
somebody
Chinese
gives you a bit of
come in, so you can't rely on that testimony, can you, or that record? That's seen just in the Bible, where you've got people with the Bible. They believe everything that's written down here. The Bible wasn't written for hundreds of years after the events, and it was edited and re-edited and done in front of a panel, all sorts of belief systems were incorporated into it. Yeah, it's when you actually look at the origins of that. So, again, there's hundreds of millions of people around believing. Sorry, that was the dog, and he's just walked through. I've got a pile of empty packets, shall we say, of crisps. I've had a little crisp fest today, and he's just walked through the middle of them, where I haven't bothered to put them in the bin yet. So when you look at that, we do believe folklore, and we do believe stories, and we don't go any further than the origin of the story because we can't, because the starting point is a mythology in its own right.
Right. And then you've got people like us on the Dark Mirror show who are their own ecosystem.
Sometimes it feels like that, Marcus. Sometimes it does.
Oh, it will explain all of us through here, especially the alien bit. So, yeah. Right,
so let's have a little look at another little article before we disappear for the night, because we're down to 10 minutes. Oh, right, wow. I want to have a look at this one. This is the weird triangular anomaly spotted in the skies over Philadelphia. Now, I'm going to share the link into the chat room. Don't forget, guys, if you want to have a look at it, right-click on it. Now, this is basically, they were out, it looks like to me, they were out trying to film a storm. You had loads of storm clouds going on, loads of fantastic lightning going on. This, to me, this is why I've picked this one, because this, to me, screams somebody making something that isn't there. I think that's a lightning flash going off behind a cloud formation, not a pyramid in the sky.
There was a lot of other scene as well at that particular time. There was Clermont in Florida, in particular, and there was a few others across the land. He says, frantically trying to find the rest of them, because I'd looked at them all earlier, and now, do you think I can find one? No. Some of them, you know yourself, it's the same as when you do paranormal investigations. No, it's not an orb, it's a bit of dust or an insect. The same as all alien things that you see, they're not. It's not aliens. 99.9% of it is something you've got wrong or you've not seen in this, that, and the other. But you just get that 0.01% that it could possibly be very real. But there's a lot of the things in here, I think, the one you're on about, weird triangular anomaly spotted in the sky over Philadelphia. It does look. See, I don't think it's likely because it's reflected as a perfect triangle. I think that it could be. What's that thing where cities or buildings can be projected up in the sky hundreds of miles away? It might be that.
Well, that's all to do with reflection, isn't it? Whereas this wouldn't be a reflective surface, particularly because of the storm weather that's in. So I just think it's just a weird formation, angle, lightning going on behind the clouds. I honestly don't think it's anything more than that. I mean, when I first saw the original image, I kind of was like, what's all the fuss about? And I have to do a lot of enhancing and a lot of close-up shots for you to actually see what is supposed to be there. And even when it's close up and enhanced, it's too nebular.
Well, I mean, the guy who put it out there as well, Mr. MBB333, there's only a few people I will listen to or use for research on YouTube that I value their opinion, and he's one of them as himself. And there's oh god, what's the other one? I've forgotten his bloody name now. Yep, can't remember. But it's I don't know. I'm looking at it now and I don't know. What do you say?
Nothing.
What do you think of it, Jay?
No, come on, come out with it.
I think it's just something that's happened. Just the lightning, the way it's flashing, the way it's streaking across light. If you look at the video and see how it's going, there's several times it looks like it's taking an angular approach like that. I don't think it's anything there. And then when you zoom in on it, the power suggests is going to say, hey, well, see if you see it here, you see it even more. And you see here, and as you zoom in, he shows you things like anything else. You can clean up the picture, make it look like anything. Too many things have been fake nowadays for me to believe anything like that. I'm sorry. I don't know the person. Mark says he trusts him and he relies upon him. Then that gives him some credibility with me. But until Mark had said that, he could be just another one of the crackpots trying to get attention. So you have to really rely upon whether it be this or paranormal or ufology or cryptozoology, anything. Your reputation is everything. So
now it's zoomed in, I can see the edges, and they're not as crisp as you think. And then you look at it, I think there's something there, but.
But no, this to me is sensationalisation of an image, the pareidolia effect. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can. Yeah. The olden days, they used to do like cloud scrying and get omens and stuff coming through the clouds and stuff like that. I think you can see shapes and stuff in a cloud before now. I've done it myself. And it's interesting what shapes the cloud formations make. But to then twist that perception of something that happens naturally into, you've got to remember the rise and fall of air as well in a storm. You've got hot air and cold air colliding, which creates the energy that creates the storm, that builds up the static in the clouds, which creates the lightning. So you've got movement all the time in a cloud system.
I agree it is an odd thing to see in the sky, but I don't think it's alien in nature. I really don't. Because, I mean, there's some cloud formations that I've seen myself personally that are perfectly round. I think they're called lenticular clouds or whatever. And they're round. And I've seen it where there's been a lightning storm and the lightning comes along and goes up and curls around the edges. That's bizarre to see, but I know it was just a natural phenomenon. But a lot of people will scream alien. And it's like, no, it was a cloud.
So it's a twist of perception, isn't it? This is the problem we're having. And we're having this problem across the board of any phenomena that occurs. We have a sensationalization of that situation, and people are just taking things and twisting it into their own perception.
Mm-hmm. It is. I agree it's odd, but I don't necessarily think it's anything benign. I think anything nasty. I don't think it's alien in nature or anything like that. I just think it's trick of the light or something, because it does look strange, but I don't think it's anything meh. It's not aliens. It might be. It's definitely not aliens.
Well, I have a demon in my house because the dog's just gone crazy upstairs and come down with his tail between his legs. So
well, we have. She's sitting down hosting a show.
Oi, cheeky monkey. My dog loves me. Oh dear.
Only when you get the peanut butter out.
So I'm having a quick look at the chat room. Good evening, chat room. Thank you for joining us. The usual culprits are in there. And yeah, it's all looking like pretty much what we said. You just, so much we don't know. And you do have to keep a proper perspective on things and take out the sensationalism.
Stargate.
But it could be true. There could be a god called Ra or Anu. As we found out before now. Who knows, right? They could be aliens.
Well, I'll tell you what I found out. Completely off the wall. Nothing to do with this. Do you remember the KLF, the band the KLF?
Yeah.
And they brought up a song, Justified Ancients of Mumu. Mumu was a place, an island, before it was an area of island back when the Vikings and everything were about. And it's where my ancestors come from. So my ancestors come from... are the Justified Ancients of Mumu.
Oh dear. Oh dearie dear. I'd never admit to that, Jay, if that was me.
I just thought it was funny.
It is funny, but I would never admit to it.
Well, come on, it's me. I mean, I'm the alien guy. Everybody thinks I'm bloody nuts anyway, so yeah, I might as well just, you got to live them.
Anyway, on that note, we are coming to the end of the show. Don't forget, over the weekend, we have live coverage coming from Sage Paracon, hopefully, on Wi-Fi signal if they sort it out. And on Sunday evening, Remembrance Sunday, we are actually playing out the Remembrance Show at 9 p.m. So please join us for that one. Some interesting phenomena we discovered regarding the world wars and looking at the physical stress that all sorts of things we looked at in that show. So join us at 9 p.m. on Sunday evening for that. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining me tonight in the studio. Fascinating discussion.
As always, 'tis a pleasure having this young man here.
It was absolutely enjoyable. Thank you guys for allowing me to come back again.
Anytime, Jay. Anytime.
And we're slowing down so I can be able to be more active here soon. This is our last weekend on the road for the year that I know of.
You're working very, very hard at the moment, I will say that.
Having fun doing it, though.
Mark?
There you go. Jay Lynch does smile, ladies and gentlemen. He actually smiled. We've been wondering why he hasn't smiled all day, and he actually smiled. There you go. Look, there's another one. Yay!
I just think he's so knackered he can't have got the energy to smile, Mark. I think that's where we're going with that. And on that note, say good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Before we go, can I just give a quick aliens shout out to my daughters, my son, Ness in a dress, and to Bob. Aliens! There you go.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.